Um, Good morning, Facebook. I want to touch on a very serious issue today. A lot of us have family members, if not ourselves, who have been placed in Dauphin County Prison while going through the judicial process to either seek freedom or to seek time served in a state prison. And a lot of things is wrong with Dauphin County Prison. And being that though it's a privately owned prison, they actually pay our government, our local government, and pay the news outlets and media outlets to silence and quiet any allegation of wrongdoing or any issues, being as though the prison is unfit for human habitation. I mean, you have bug and rodent infestation, you have malnutrition, sickness, and MRSA outbreaks and disease. You got poorly trained staff. You got mental abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. Any type of abuse you can fathom takes place in this prison. The prison is ran and governed by a bunch of racist white men from Perry County who mistreat, beat, and brutalize our young black males and females and Hispanic family members. They siphon their bank accounts and take money from them, which is also illegal. You can't take money from a personal account or take money from a person that is sent to them as a gift. That's also illegal. They lock you away in the hole or isolation and segregation, and they beat you and brutalize you. They chain you to shower. They also kill us. They literally kill us. I've been in Dauphin County Prison. They kept me in the hole for a year for no reason, other than them saying I was too intelligent and too influential to be in population because people may follow me and I may start a riot or uprising. That was never the case. While I was at Dauphin County Prison, I moved to the juvenile block and tried to help them modify and change their thinking and their behaviors to become productive inmates so they can make it to court and then make it home to their families. You got to be aware of what's going on in this prison. They only hire their own. The Dauphin County prison system is a privately owned prison owned by the Ku Klux Klan. If you don't believe me, I'm sure it's readily available. I'm sure it's something you can find out yourself. And then the black COs and stuff that work there, they're nothing but Uncle Toms. They don't care no more about our people than the white people do. They brutalize, beat, and harm our families. They mistreat our women and our family members when they come to visit us. They go through our mail and tear up our mail and steal our mail. The law library is insufficient and inadequate in any shape or form. You can't represent yourself pro se and utilize their law library because it lacks the information and it lacks the case laws and it lacks the books you need to have a suitable trial and or fight your crime. It's a one hand watch the other type of scenario. You got the police officers, you got the DAs, and you got the lawyers and the public defenders all working in tandem with the Dauphin County Prison to keep you locked in while they profit off you sitting there. It's a shame what takes place in this prison, and our government, our local government, is fully aware of this. And I'm talking about Pappenfuss. I'm talking about all these government officials, Patty, Kim, all of them know about what's going on at this prison, and nobody speaks on it. Nobody does anything. I think we need to have a picketing. I think we need to march outside that prison, and I think we need to make it known and get it publicized that this prison is unfit for human habitation. They get fined yearly. You can look it up. They get fined yearly for the toxic water that they are giving our family members, the living conditions, the poor lighting, the filth and squalor that our family members are living in. The medical staff do not know what they're doing. I can, like, if you ain't got a felony, you can sign up and work in a hospital and have no certifications and or skills in the medical field, and they will let you hand out medication and pills. Our children are being brutalized and murdered in this prison. There's been 5 homicides in the past 2 years, and they haven't been public. Why? Why are they covering it up? Why are these families being silenced? Why are these families being harassed and bullied into staying silent? Why their families are dying? It's so horrible out there that our men are being forced into taking plea bargain deals instead of fighting their cases because they can't live with the living conditions. If you want to talk about modern day slavery, you ain't got to look no further than the Dauphin County Prison, and not enough of us speak on it. We get out of jail and we try to put that behind us and forget about it, neglecting the fact that our brothers and our sisters are still sitting in that prison rotting, being brutalized, being racially subjected to hardships. And the judges and the DAs and the lawyers and the police and the local government are doing nothing about it. You know what they're doing? They're lining their pockets. And that goes for all of them, because all of them have been in office and none of them did nothing. None of them put any sanctions to that prison. None of them tried to shut that prison down. It's a privately owned entity, and it's the most brutal of all prisons. They're ranked 3rd in the nation of worst prisons, and it's still open. How is that even possible? Y'all shut down all these schools to build new prisons, and none of y'all thought about shutting down the Dauphin County Prison and building a government-ran and sanctioned prison, or a federally ran and sanctioned prison where people would get some equal rights. There's so many constitutional violations at this prison that it should be shut down. It should be burnt down, in fact. You ain't seen your family members come home with sores and all types of infections? Look at their skin. They come home with spots on them. Half of them come home looking like fucking cheetahs, because there's so much chlorine and there's so much toxins in that water. And then it's the same water that they drink and bathe with. Yeah. Why aren't we speaking about what's going on in Dauphin County Prison? There's a guy on my page named Tom Matthews. His son went into booking and was murdered, was brutally beat to death by the Dauphin County staff. Beat to death while in cuffs. Mouth caved in, teeth broken. Died from blunt force trauma. When he first was taken into custody, he had no wounds or bruises. He wasn't beaten. They beat this man to death, and then ruled it as if he died in his sleep. And then they covered it up. The police department covered it up. Mr. Carter covered it up. Dauphin County Prison covered it up. Our local government covered it up. Our local news stations covered it up. It hasn't been played in the news. It hasn't been talked about. Wasn't no names released. Wasn't nothing. There was no sanctions done. These people are dying, and nobody is standing up and letting their voices being heard. But I'm going to be their voice today. And I don't care about the consequences, because I've had enough. I had enough of how this prison treats our young black males and females. I had enough how our government turned a blind eye to the nonsensical shit that takes place behind them prison walls. The brutality, the constitutional violations. All they got to do is pay their way. And our kids are being subjected to modern day slavery, being brutalized and murdered by the systemic racism of Dauphin County and the Pennsylvania Ku Klux Klan backed organization called a government. They don't give a fuck about us, and they don't give a fuck about our people. And y'all keep going to them polls, voting these fucking weak ass motherfuckers in the office, and they don't give a fuck about us. And I'm speaking to all of them. I ain't got no fucking picks. This is why I don't fuck with these government people right now, because y'all let our people die. Y'all letting our people being brutalized, and y'all are not standing up for us. Y'all profiting off us in every letter of the word. Y'all hire more police officers, but y'all don't hire no motherfucking counselors and people to work us through these problems and these hardships in our communities. Y'all talk about our mental health, but y'all ain't talking about how y'all brutalizing us and causing us to suffer from PTSD and mental illnesses and malnutrition. Everything that you see played out in our society, the black on black crime and the violence and stuff in our society, is a direct correlation to how our government and how our systems are treating us as people. We're not unified. There's no equality in Pennsylvania. It's more prisons in Pennsylvania than it is anything else. Y'all don't think they profiting off us? There's a large money margin here. They making millions upon billions of dollars off the back of our pain and our suffering and our blood, sweat, and tears, and nobody's speaking about it. Y'all see what's going on in this prison. Nobody's speaking about it. They charging y'all damn near $20 a fucking phone call. Nobody's saying nothing about it. How can a local phone call cost you damn near $20? Why is the commissary so high? The food can't even be eaten or consumed. It makes you sick. But you want to run it up on commissary and charge us so high for commissary when we starving. It's a profit. It's modern day slavery. The 13th Amendment is a parallel to what's transpiring in that prison. When you get convicted or charged with a felony, you rescind to the status of a slave. They treat you like slaves in Dauphin County Prison. You locked in your cell 23 hours a day. 23 hours. How can you lock a person in their cell 23 hours a day? That's unconstitutional. That's illegal. The water is lukewarm. You can't even cook and eat your commissary food properly. You got to eat it raw. That's unconstitutional. It's plagued with disease, MRSA, and famine. People are starving out there. That's unconstitutional. Rooms are packed with rodents, roaches. That's unconstitutional. Being denied legal mail and mail, that's a federal violation. That's unconstitutional. Not being given the same civil liberties of those that are free in the community, that's unconstitutional. Verbal and physical abuse because you're black or an inmate, that's unconstitutional. Why isn't Patty Kim doing anything? Why isn't Mayor Papenfoods doing anything? Why isn't any of the governors doing anything? Why aren't they doing anything? Why aren't they saying anything? Why aren't they putting sanctions on these people? They got the power to do so. Why aren't they doing anything? Why is everything so hush-hush? Why have 5 black males died in the past 2 years in the custody of Dauphin County Prison and nobody was arrested? Nobody was prosecuted. None of the families were compensated and nobody was helped in these situations. Why? Why is it always a MRSA outbreak out there? Why? Why are you taking and making people food and sitting their food on the floor? And they got to pick their food up off the floor to eat it. That's unconstitutional. That's a civil rights violation. But nobody's speaking about what's transpiring right in our backyard at this Dauphin County fucking prison. How they brutalizing and verbally abusing and killing our sons, our fathers, our daughters. And they getting away with it scot-free. These fucking devils are hurting us and beating us and brutalizing us, then going home and talking about it to their family like this is a fun thing to do. Torture a man when he's down at his worst. Why aren't they being provided the legitimate legal assistance so they can fight their case? Because a lot of them cases are bullshit. A lot of them cases people shouldn't even be incarcerated for. They're misdemeanors and whatnot. And for the higher level cases, you still should be properly represented in a court of law. But it's hard to be represented in a court of law when the DA's office and the public defender's office is on the same floor and they work on the same floor and talk about the same cases, which is a violation of your rights. How the fuck can the DA talk to your lawyer any day and they what they do is they bid for you. They swap you out. Yeah, if you give me him, I give you him. How is that fair? These are all the constitutional violations that go on right here in our government. And y'all keep voting these fucking racist pigs in the office, not knowing that these are the very people who keep y'all in servitude, the very people who keep y'all in poverty, the very people who keep y'all going at each other's neck and hating one another. Then they give off the image like they want to fucking help us. Y'all don't want to fucking help us. Y'all was mad about our Stop the Violence campaign. None of y'all wanted to fucking help us. And you know why y'all didn't want to help us? Because y'all didn't see how y'all would profit off of it. Y'all didn't see how y'all would get notoriety off it. We did it on our own. DeJuan Beecham, Tony Cook, this is their movement. This is what they did. This is how they gave back to the community. And we need to start having more movements for our people, because it's about our people. Fuck anybody else that don't give a fuck about us. In this government, these police officers, these lawyers, these DAs, these federal investigations, this IRS, all these fucking people, they don't give a fuck about us. They look at us as fucking numbers on a piece of paper. Numbers on a piece of paper. A way to make money. Look at what's going on in your fucking community. Dauphin County Prison is our community. What transpires in there affects us. Why you think our sons and our daughters are going there and coming back half fucking crazy, suffering from mental issues and depression and stress-related illnesses? Because they're subjected to civil rights violations. They're subjected to torture, heinous torture. When I was there, the guards used to spit in my fucking food and push the chair in front of my door, knowing I ain't ate for days. They used to chain me and make me shower in a cold shower. They used to come in my cell and beat my ass. They used to take my mail and rip my mail up. So what I'm saying is so fucking very true. They kept me in the hole for a year with no fucking write-up. Why am I in the hole for a year with no write-up? They wouldn't even let me go to my son's funeral. You understand what I'm telling y'all? Is y'all processing this shit? Is this shit registering? Y'all need to contact y'all local news stations and make reports. Y'all need to let them know what's transpiring and what's going on with y'all loved ones in that prison, because they trying to kill them. And that's a fact. And they're profiting off of torturing them. That's a fact. There should not be no privately owned prisons titled Dauphin County Prison in our vicinity when you know it's not ran by the fucking government. It's not ran by the government. How can a privately owned prison be sitting in our fucking community and it has nothing to do with our community? That money accumulated in that prison is being outsourced to another community. It doesn't benefit us at all. They're torturing and killing our sons. Mr. Tom Matthews, I'm speaking for you today. I know what transpired with your son. I know they killed your fucking son. They brutally murdered him and they got away with it. It's not being played out in the media. It never made the paper. They don't give a fuck about you or your son, but I'm going to speak for your son. By any means necessary. It's time we stand up and unify for what's right. It's too many people talking about what they want to do and how we should do things. Right now, we should be marching in front of that fucking prison and standing for something and not falling for anything. They are legally detaining you in an illegal prison. It's privately owned. It's illegal for the Dauphin County Police or the Harrisburg Police to take you and house you in that fucking prison. Why? Because it's unconstitutional. Why? Because it's not governed by a judicial or a government agency. It's privately owned. That's no different than them taking you to somebody's house and putting cuffs on you and making you sit there. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional. They don't have the right to detain you in a privately owned prison, not sanctioned and governed by the government. Know your fucking rights, man. It's illegal for what they doing. And they fool you by naming it Dauphin County Prison, but it's not a Dauphin County Prison. It's a privately owned entity. And that's the fact about Dauphin County Prison, man. Be careful, be smart, stay out their radar and stop getting yourself sent to that fucking prison. If they have no inmates, they can't generate no commerce, they can't make no money. They got to fill bed space every day. Stop being foolish, breaking these laws so they can hold you in contempt and take you to an illegally housing facility. It's illegal for them to house us there. And they know it. And they getting away with this shit. And your governor, your mayor, your police department, they all know this shit. And they still take us there. Because they don't give a fuck about us. Stop letting them people smile in your face like they care. Stop letting them people act as if they want the best for our people. They don't. How the fuck you want the best of me when people are being slaughtered and murdered in a fucking prison? And y'all do nothing about it. Why hasn't Chief Carter started any type of investigation against that prison? Where's the feds at? Where's Eternal Affairs? Where's all these organizations that police and monitor everything we do out here in society? Why aren't they monitoring what the fuck's going on in that prison? Because they're paying their fines? Because y'all fine them every fucking year and they pay their fines? That's why you're not prosecuting these fucking people? Why they killing our people? This is why they hire their staff all from Perry County, where the Klan has a motherfucking compound? And the shit's systemic. They hire generation after generation after generation of racist white people to work in that prison. They come here and they experiment and torture and bully and abuse and murder us and get away with it scot-free. None of them are prosecuted. None of them are in prison for the atrocities they're causing upon our people. So you want to know why our city is in chaos? Let's start with that fucking prison that none of these government officials are doing anything about. Let's start there. Let's work on that. How the fuck can we be prisoners in our own home? And y'all torture and brutalize us and kill us and get away with it scot-free. Nobody's prosecuted. How is that fucking possible? That's what y'all need to be talking about. Make this fucking video go viral. Make my post about Thomas Matthews go viral so y'all can look at his son's face and look at the innocence in his face. Why'd they take his fucking life? Those are the questions we need to be asking. Why did y'all take this boy's life? He was outmanned, outgunned, in cuffs. Why was he brutally beaten to death? What harm could that little boy have done to these grown-ass men who work out and take steroids every fucking day that work in that prison? What threat could he have been for him to be beaten to death? Answer that fucking question. We won't be silenced no more, man. If we don't stand for something, we will fall for anything. They going to continue brutalizing us and killing us in the street. They're going to continue mass incarcerating us. And once we're in prison, they will brutally beat us to death. Sounds a lot like slavery, doesn't it? Only difference between then and now is our plantations are industrialized and they profit off them at a larger scale. That's the only difference. We are still enslaved in this systemically racist industrial complex or Republic of Great Britain. Know your history. May peace be upon y'all, man. Make this video go viral. Let's save some lives for once. Let's stand for something that's affecting us as a whole, as a people. And this ain't about your skin color. This is about unity.